About a year ago, I dropped a series of videos about Fani Willis.
Do you swear me, Your Honor?
Fani Willis is the DA of Fulton County, Georgia, the DA who charged Trump and 18 others with RICO charges, claiming that he tried to steal the 2020 election. But since those videos, a lot has happened. You know, she was accused of having a relationship with Nathan Wade, the independent prosecutor that she hired to prosecute Trump and the others. Her efforts to send Trump to prison before the 2024 election didn't work. And she has been disqualified from prosecuting Trump because of her relationship with Nathan Wade. But this drama is not over. Next week, she's going in front of the Georgia State Senate to answer questions about her prosecution of Trump and the others that may mean the end of her political and legal career. But to understand what this means and how we got here, I need to do a recap. The rise of Fani Willis. On January 1st, 2021, Fani Willis was sworn in as the first ever female district attorney of Fulton County after defeating sixth-term district attorney Paul Howard. Howard was vulnerable after being accused of misusing funds and sexual harassment.
By unanimous vote, the State Ethics Commission accepted a consent agreement that found Fulton County District Attorney Paul Howard violated campaign finance law.
County administrator is accusing District Attorney Paul Howard of sexual harassment.
During the campaign, Willis slammed him for abusing taxpayer dollars and abusing his office. She even promised that as DA, she would never date someone working under her.
That will not be something that is allowed on my watch. And I certainly will not be choosing people to date that work under me. Let me just say that.
But that all changed when she hooked up with Nathan Wade. Why Fulton County matters. Now, being DA of Fulton County is no small thing. Fulton is the most populous county in Georgia, with over 1 million residents, including most of Atlanta. The Fulton County Superior Court is the largest in the state, handling over 10,000 felony cases every year. Fulton is Georgia's economic hub, home to Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, Coca-Cola, Delta Airlines, CNN, and cultural landmarks like the King Center. From the start, Willis wanted to prove she was tough on crime. She went before the Fulton County Board of Commissioners and asked for millions more in funding to tackle the backlog of violent cases clogging the jail.
ORCA is actually not an acronym. It's what they have referred to for this COVID backlog. ORCA, and I can't make this up, is a big whale. I guess they thought because this is a big problem, they would call it that. I didn't make it up, but we need those funds.
But she didn't tell him why she really wanted those funds. She was going after the biggest whale in the country, Donald Trump. January 1st, 2021, Fani Willis was sworn in as DA. By February 10th, she announced she's investigating Donald Trump. This case will make or break her career. On November 1st, 2021, Willis hires Nathan Wade to lead the Trump prosecution. November 2nd, the very next day, Wade files for divorce. The ink wasn't even dry on his contract before he was filing divorce papers. Coincidence? I think not. But let's move on. On May 2nd, 2022, a special grand jury is impaneled to investigate Trump and his allies.
It didn't take long because just last week, DA Fani Willis was requested she requested to seat a grand jury starting May 2nd. And as of Monday, that request has been approved.
On August 14th, 2023, Trump and 18 others are indicted under Georgia's RICO law. This is Willis's national moment.
A Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment, charging 19 individuals with violations of Georgia law arising from a criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in this state.
In the fall of 2023, Judge Scott McAfee sets January 8, 2024 as the deadline for all pretrial motions, And then, as if by perfect timing, on January 8th, defense attorney Ashley Merchant dropped a bombshell. She filed a motion to disqualify Willis, pointing straight to Nathan Wade's divorce and their alleged romantic relationship. Trump's attorneys piled on, accusing Willis of staging the entire prosecution for personal gain. Their claim that she hired her unqualified boyfriend, funneled more than $650,000 of taxpayer money into his pocket, and then reaped the rewards herself through gifts, luxury trips, and cruises. The church speech. Judge McAfee had no choice but to schedule an evidentiary hearing on February 15th through 16th. The media swarmed, demanding answers, but instead of holding a press conference, Willis chose another stage. On January 14th, Martin Luther King Day, she gave a fiery speech at Big Bethel AME Church.
Is it that some will never see a black man as qualified, no matter his achievements? What more can one achieve? The other two have never been judges, but no one questions their credentials. I'm just saying. Lord, I'm just asking, is it that I, because of the shell you chose to put me in, will never be qualified in their eyes to make the decisions the voters put me here to make?
She told the congregation that the allegations were racially motivated. What she didn't do, however, was deny them. The hearing. At the hearing, Willis and Wade both admitted under oath that they were in a romantic relationship. But they insisted it didn't begin until spring of 2022, months after he was hired.
No romantic relationship with Mr. Wade until early in 2022, whether it be January or February or March, early in 2022, correct?
I would say sometime between February and April. Yes, sir.
All right.
Let's be clear. 2022 was the start of any intimate sexual relationship with the district attorney.
The defense told a different story. Willis's former friend, Robin Yurdy, testified that the relationship started in 2019.
Are you certain that Miss Willis told you about the romantic relationship with Mr. Wade prior to November 1st of 2021?
Yes.
Now, did you also have observations of Mr. Wade and Miss Willis together prior to November 1st of 2021?
Yes.
And did you observe them do things that are, common among people having a romantic relationship?
Yes.
Such as, can you give us an example?
Hugging, kissing, just affection.
All before November 1st of 2021, correct?
Yes.
That's all I have.
The paper trail and contradictions.
And they're doing everything they can to keep her off the stand and keep the truth away from this court.
The defense didn't just rely on rumors. They came armed with receipts, literal ones. Credit card statements and financial records show Nathan Wade had paid for multiple trips with Fani Willis. Miami, Napa Valley, Belize, and Aruba, all while he was being paid taxpayer funds to prosecute Trump. The expenses weren't small either. Flights, hotel stays, cruises, and luxury dining added up to tens of thousands of dollars. Wade's American Express records tied those transactions directly to his account, and in some cases even matched the dates Willis was seen traveling.
And you all stayed in Napa Valley and he paid for the plane tickets and the hotel? He paid for the plane tickets and the hotel.
Willis claimed she always paid her share back in cash, but there were no receipts, no bank withdrawals, no paper trail of repayment. Meanwhile, Wade's own tax filings listed those trips as business expenses, with no note that he'd been reimbursed for half. For the defense, that looked less like a coincidence and more like a kickback scheme disguised as a romance. Yes, the defense came with receipts, not just financial ones, but digital ones too. cell phone records, call logs, and metadata that told a story very different from the one Willis and Wade swore under oath. Now, both testified that their relationship didn't begin until spring 2022, but an investigator who analyzed Nathan Wade's AT&T phone records from January through November 2021 found something else. Over 2,000 phone calls and nearly 12,000 text messages exchanged between Wade and Willis during this time. That's not the communication pattern of a distant professional relationship. That's daily contact, often late at night. And the location data, that's where things really start unraveling. Using data from Wade's phone alone, investigators mapped his movements with a forensic tool called CellHawk. The records showed his phone pinging near Willis's condo on dozens of late nights, sometimes for hours. Take September 11th, 2021, for example. Wade's phone registered near Willis's condo just before 11 p.m. and didn't move until after 3:30 a.m. Then again on November 29th, there's a call from Willis to Wade around 11:30 p.m. and moments later his phone pings near her condo, staying there until almost 5 a.m. Both Willis and Wade denied ever spending the night together before 2022, but the data seems to tell a different story. The pattern was hard to ignore. It showed a level of contact that simply didn't match the professional image they described to the court. When you combine the phone logs, the cell pings, and the sheer volume of communication, it created a paper trail that was impossible to overlook. And the defense made their point clear. If the timeline Willis and Wade gave under oath wasn't true, this wasn't just bad optics, it's perjury, lying under oath. And credibility is everything when you're prosecuting the most powerful RICO case in the country. The fallout and Judge McAfee's ruling. When the hearing wrapped up, Judge Scott McAfee was left with one simple question. Was the relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade just bad judgment, or had it crossed into misconduct that tainted the entire Trump prosecution? On March 15th, 2024, Judge McAfee issued his ruling. He didn't completely disqualify Willis or dismiss the RICO case, but he didn't give her a clean slate either. Instead, he wrote that the situation created an appearance of impropriety that infects the prosecution team. He gave Willis a choice. Either she or Wade had to step aside. Wade resigned the very next day. But the part that stuck with people was one line in particular. Judge McAfee said the testimony from Willis and Wade carried an odor of mendacity. In plain English, that means the story they told didn't smell right. He didn't call them liars outright, but he made it clear he didn't fully believe them either. The comment, the odor of mendacity, became the phrase that defined the scandal, and it raised a bigger question. If they were willing to bend the truth about their relationship, what else might they have hidden? Now, the story isn't over, not by a long shot. The Georgia State Senate has subpoenaed District Attorney Fani Willis to testify before its Special Committee on Oversight. During the court hearings, the defense only had access to metadata. That's logs showing that text messages and emails were exchanged between Willis and Wade, but the data didn't include the actual content of those messages. Just the timestamps, the volume of contact, and the cell tower pings that suggested late night communication. The Senate committee, though, has a far greater reach. They can subpoena the real thing, the actual text messages and emails. And if any one of those prove that Willis lied under oath about when her relationship with Wade began, that's it. Her credibility, her career, even her law license could all be on the line. And don't forget, Fani Willis is a Democrat, and the Georgia Senate is controlled by Republicans. Not just any Republicans either. Some of the very same political allies of the 18 defendants she charged alongside President Donald Trump. These are powerful, politically connected people. So let's be honest. She's not walking into a friendly room. What began as a bold, history-making prosecution of a former president has flipped into something far more dangerous for her, because now she's the one under investigation. And if those subpoenaed messages reveal that she lied even once under oath, that's not just the end of her case. That's the end of her credibility, her career, and possibly her freedom. For Fani Willis, the RICO case that was supposed to define her legacy may instead be the one that destroys it.